Yo, it's the most energetic entertainer in the world, Manny. Hello. Throw it up. Supreme. And I just jumped off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastard.
Smoking strong, shit fuck me off the strength. I push up, I don't play the bench. I'm legendary, I'ma breathe the myth.
Alright, we got my dog, Manni Supreme, jumping off the porch with us today.
How you feeling?
How you feeling, my boy?
I'm blessed, man. Can't complain. Another day, another dollar.
Nah, for sure.
Yes,
It's a pleasure to have you on the porch with us today, man.
Thank you, broski. Thank you.
Nah, for real.
Thank you.
I've been seeing you run around the city doing your thing for a while now, so how does it feel to also be a native from here?
Feels great, man. I run into a lot of people all the time, especially in the club. Bosco can attest. A lot of people don't be from here. I be thinking people from here. Even when we in the club, I be like, yo, if you from here, make some noise. Be like, yo. So being able to be from here, and then also, you know, doing a lot of stuff for the music industry and upcoming artists who also from here, it feel good, bro.
Nah, for sure. Fresh off hosting that LVRN Unplugged event with Travis Porter, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out my LVRN gang, you feel me? My friend Theodora, she graduated from Georgia State. That's like her event that she helps put together. Super dope event. All the aunties was out there. You had our cups in the air, you feel me? It was a good vibe. And you know, it was crazy. It was actually a lot of people from Atlanta at that event.
Oh, for sure. That was some real Atlanta shit right there.
For sure. Walker came out, Roscoe Dash came out. It was a good vibe.
For sure. So how does that make you feel to know that you can contribute your energy to be a part of such events for the city?
Man, blessed for real, bro, because like, you know, a lot of times these days, like whether it's events that's being curated or like host or even DJs, right? I feel like a lot of people are selfish when it comes to the talent, right? Like one of the things that I pride myself on, as well as, you know, my dog, Yo Bosco, is like, you know, we know why we're here. Like we wouldn't be getting paid. I wouldn't have such amount of followers. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the people. So keeping that balance of like, okay, we are doing this for them, always keep us on the right track for real.
No, that's real.
Shout out to Theodora, man. LVRN, that's good vibe.
Oh, that's lit. So talk about what side of the city you're from and your childhood and your upbringing.
For sure. So, the way a lot of people make fun, my homies think I'm from like Gwinnett or like North Druid Hills. My grandma stayed in Shady Park, for all my folks that know. My mom used to teach at XXL Lewis, was also across the street, you feel me? So I'm from the south side of Atlanta, College Park. Grew up there, me and my mom, grandma, we from the south side, but my family from the east side, so like that Glenwood Road area. But I got my brothers on my dad's side, they from the west side, so like they went to Mays and all that other shit. So I'm really kind of somewhat from all parts of the city, because I would spend different parts and times out there, whether during camp or going to visit family and stuff like that. But born and raised originally from the south side, for real.
For sure. What type of kid would you say you was coming up?
I just had this conversation with my mom. She said I was mischievous, but I feel like I was mischievous with I was a very curious child, because I was my mom's only son, right? So, you know, up until more recently, like my life was so structured. I mean, it is still very structured, but it was just like go to school, come home, and my mom was a teacher too. So it was like, it wasn't too much I could get away with. Like 8th grade, my mom taught at my middle school.
You weren't getting away with that.
I couldn't do Nathaniel.
Yeah. You
feel me? So yeah, really just curious, but that curiosity I've been able to really channel to help get me to what I'm doing today, for real.
Nah, for sure. So at what point would you say you jumped off the porch?
I was thinking about this on the way here, because I'm like, we still moving and grooving. I would honestly say when I graduated from high school, because it was such a critical point, right? So I graduated from Chapel Hill High School out in Douglasville. Shout out to them boys out there. And during that time was when I had first started doing YouTube. Like, that's how I really started everything. Like, I was doing YouTube, and back then, you know, folks was joning. They was like, yo, what did they do? Like, I remember I posted this spicy ramen challenge, bro. Oh my God. I came in, it was like, I remember Brett's name, but forget him. I ain't even finna shout him out. He was like, but that video was weak as hell. Like, All the hoes clowning me. I'm like, all right, for sure. I ended up taking the video down.
Dang, not you let them folks get to you.
But I told myself, I was like, never again. Like, I don't give a damn what people saying. So boom. I'm like, okay, cool. I gotta figure out something that could just make people just come to the channel. So I ended up doing a promposal prank in high school. So I asked my girlfriend at the time, and then I was like, wait, hold up. Then I asked a friend. But mind you, like, back in high school, I was a pretty popular guy, so the word had got around. So it was like the whole school outside of the track, you know, the field area, waiting for me to do this video. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to do it. The principal knows. She like, you gonna do it, man? So I'm like, boom. Like, that video, I got 1,000 views in a week. I remember I was on the soccer bus, and my homies, because I used to play soccer too, they was just like, bro, you gotta keep doing that shit. So I'm like, boom. So I'll say that transitional period before we like graduated high school, and then graduating high school is when I actually jumped off the porch, because I didn't know where I was gonna go to college, and I knew obviously that I had to go, because like I said, my mom's a teacher. And it's just like, I tell a lot of my folks, like me and Bosco talk about this all the time, like, if you don't know what you wanna do, bro, go to school. Cause it's like, I call it buffer time, but it's like you gonna meet so many like new people. Like, I just graduated from Georgia State, and like, my roommate my first year from the Netherlands, boom, he putting me on to Skepta and some other stuff that I wasn't even knowing for real. So going to college, taking that extra step is definitely what helps prolong your success and helps create that different network that you probably didn't have. But I was gonna go to Morehouse. I got into Morehouse, I got into Howard. I almost got a full ride to go to George Washington University. I got into University of Florida, I got into UGA. Where else? I was popping. Every school I applied, I got hella money and scholarships, but then it got to a point where I was like, you know, they just passed the rules, which dumb lame, which got Hope and Zelle paying for all your schools. So, you know, when the acceptances came in, them dollar signs came in and how much it was. So I'm looking at my mom and she's looking at me, she's like, Georgia State? I'm like, shit, let's do it. Best decision I ever made. Honestly. So I can say going to Georgia State was when I jumped off the porch for real.
No, that's some real shit. So how did you figure out what you wanted to navigate while you were in school? Did you know, like, I want to get into communication, I want to do, like, what did you know you wanted to go major in?
For sure. I'll say it was my 8th grade year. Because up until then, I was like, you know, everybody wants to be a doctor or a lawyer and stuff. But shout out Miss Mathis. She was my 8th grade language arts teacher. And I had wrote this essay one time about that she told us to write an essay about where we wanted to be. And so my long-term goal, I tell all my folks, is to be like a Jimmy Fallon, a black Jimmy Fallon, have my own late night show, kicking it or whatever. And I really explained that thoroughly throughout my essay. I think I had to write like 5 pages. I wrote like 8, 9, because I was just that so passionate about it. And I remember, I'll never forget, she was just like, you gotta do that, follow that. And I remember, because I was like, oh, I like science. I want to be in this math club. I want to be in STEM. She basically told me, fuck that. Follow what you want to do. So then that kind of transcended to high school. I started hosting the pep rallies. Like I told you, I was doing the YouTube shit. And then once I was doing that, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good with talking to folks in public and letting everything rock out. And back in high school, bro, I got to tell you about Chapel Hill. It was so strict, bro. They used to make us tuck in our shirts. Like, we didn't have on uniform. Like, if you wearing jogging pants, like, say I had this on, right? The fit smooth right now. You would be in ISS, my dog, if you did not have your shirt tucked in. I'm like, okay. I said that to say it was dumb strict. They wouldn't even let me play the lyrics to songs. I'm at the basketball games playing, like, this was when freestyle just came out, right? So I'm playing this whole instrumental. And mind you, it's a mixed, diverse crowd too. So I got the Hispanics, the white people, the Asian, the black, everybody turned just off this. So I'm like, I can do this shit for real. And then with just going to Georgia State, shout out to my Georgia State Spotlight family. I kind of helped them start programming events. And then I also, at the time, I used to intern at Streetz 945. So that's why I was like, I really did want to do radio, because I had decided to do journalism when I had obviously applied to Georgia State, but I wanted to hop on my internship early. So freshman year, I had to be up like 4, 5:30, 6 a.m. helping out the morning show. Back then when it was Young Jock, it was Shawty, and that was when Mo Quick was on there. So there was a lot of shit I was missing out on, bro. Like The hoes outside at 3 a.m. I gotta take my ass to Piedmont Central. If you go to Georgia State, you know what I'm talking about. So that's why I could definitely say help decide, like, okay, boom. Once I was able to get my foot in the door with radio, I was like, I like this. So yeah, that's how everything kind of got decided for real.
No, that's real. So how did you end up at Hot 107.9?
For sure, love telling this story, because it's God. And that's my focus and my main point in this interview for anybody watching this. If you don't know what you want to do or you stuck, pray. So I was in this transitional period after I had left Streetz 945 during like the pandemic. That's when I met my brother right here. And so we was going hard in the clubs. I remember, what was the first? Alibi. It's the old Opium right off Spring Street. I was in there, and then Bosco was DJing, and then I think Jada somebody was booked, and he like, the club overfilled, they about to open up this other side. So I'm like, fuck it, let's go. Boom, go there. We turn it up so hard, the promoter's like, yo, we need y'all, like, blah, blah, blah. The club ended up getting shut down, but that just helped us do more parties like Republic on Saturdays, Zari, Traffic on Saturdays, which we'll get to that, brother. Yeah, but I was really going hard in the 21 and up and 18 and up game, because I was just like, well, shit, since I'm not attached to any entity corporate-wise, I'm just gonna build up my Manni Supreme brand. So it was my junior year fall time homecoming. Shout out Georgia State again. I was hosting all of the events. So we used to have like a daytime plaza where all the Greeks would come out, the marching band would be out there and stuff like that. And so I was hosting that. We had a talent show. I sold that out. It was like 2,000 folks. My dog Sosa DJ. It was just lit. Come to find out, Hot 107.9 was partnered with Georgia State for that week. One of my higher ups at Georgia State ain't tell me, they just like to throw stuff at me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's why I first got a chance to meet my Posted on the Corner family, Incognito and radio guy Stu and Sydney, who used to work at Hot 107.9 at the time. But also one of my old mentors from Streetz 945, her name Mo Quick, I ended up helping her out at an event she had for like entrepreneurs and people who wanted to get into media like a week or two before, right? So I had met a guy by the name of Cat D. So he was one of the program directors just for Radio 1 and helping stuff move and happen. And so as I was helping Mo out, Mo was actually supposed to be hosting her event, but there was so much going on. She's like, man, I need you to get on the mic. So I'm like, okay, cool, boom. I end up hosting, doing my thing or whatever, and Cat D was like, you sound good. You ever thought about like da-da-da? I'm like, yeah, mind you, at the time, I didn't know who he was. I'm just like, yeah, bro, like, yeah, I do this and that. So I ended up getting his number. He ended up telling me who he was and stuff like that. And then he had set me up with an interview with Mr. Derek Harper, who's one of the program directors for Magic 107.5, #1 radio show across the country right now. And then throughout that same week, that same Friday of homecoming week, they ended up calling me like, yo, we want to interview you for a board op position or whatever. And then that's how I really got my start. But that was crazy because they had my name as Emmanuel Lawrence, because that's my government name, with Mo Quick and them helping me out on that end. But they knew me as Manni Supreme from the whole Georgia State stuff, so it kind of just
all came together.
Perfect timing.
Type shit, that's real.
Yeah.
All from your teacher telling you gonna be some shit. Nigga ain't had my teacher ain't telling me I ain't gonna be shit story. That's real.
And that's why I always like, when me and Bosco do like the schools and stuff like that, we try to make sure we tell these kids like, bruh, don't do what people forcing you to do, bruh. Like, take that time to figure out what you want to do, even if you don't know, and do that shit for yourself. Don't do it for nobody. I always tell people that for real.
Facts.
And both these gentlemen up here helped remind me of that for real.
No, that's real. So what do you feel you contribute to radio now in the state that we're in now?
The main thing I feel like I contribute to radio right now is advocating for these new upcoming artists, right? Because you know, right, in Atlanta, I mean, we just seen that XXL list, like nobody from the city was on there. And that's why I feel like, because people are like shunning this new wave of Atlanta, because it's a lot of different scenes that people really not hip to. And I feel like on the corporate end, especially the radio world, they're only hip to the drill music. But you got folks out here that's like the Tony Snows, the Dionysius, the CEO Trails, you feel me, that's really creating and have their own sound in different niches. And then it's like, it's starting to get to a point where like the radio, they're starting to have to pay attention to the underground sound, because on the promotions end, shout out to Gil and Jay Chris, they work at Hot 179 for Radio 1. They starting to give away tickets for Yeet, Playboy Cardi. Like they like, he sold out State Farm? Sold out State Farm, you feel me? So I feel like my position right now is just really advocating for these artists who have that following, who's creating that new sound, and just letting the, I hate to say older heads know, but letting them know like, yo, like these artists are hot, and like to pay attention with them, because I feel like, you know, even back in the day where Radio 1 was, they was putting you on to newer artists. I remember growing up listening to Greg Street like, yo, Hannah Montana is on the radio?
Right.
You feel me? And we learning the lyrics because they bringing the records back 10 times. They live in the studio. So really bringing that feel back. And that's why, like I said, shout out my Posting on the Corner family, Incognito and DJ Mrs. They do a great job with interviewing those up and coming artists and connecting the digital space to radio. Because as we all know, obviously people aren't listening to the radio as much. But one thing that they're doing, especially at Hot and for Reach Media, they're connecting the digital space with what's, you know, what you're hearing on air. So it just comes together for real.
That's real. How frustrating would you say it is being a younger person in position, trying to break those grounds to getting more or so of the sounds that we're listening to on the radio?
Hard as fuck. Excuse my French fry. But it's like, with growing and creating a bigger brand, obviously more people hear you out. And it's starting to get to a point now, like, you know, we was all just saying, like, people are reaching out and they're asking us for our advice. It's like, bro, we've been telling y'all, bro, was hard. We've been telling y'all, like, you feel me? So it's very frustrating. And even on the hosting and event curation, like, it'd be a lot of people hating, bro. And I like, for the longest, I never understood until more recently. We had this convo, bro.
Yeah.
People like to gatekeep, but don't even have the keys to the gates.
Yeah.
I'm talking too loud. People try to gatekeep and don't even have the keys.
Yeah.
You know? And
Or they know the nigga with the keys, but they ain't gonna introduce you to that
ain't gonna
nigga.
tell you,
Yeah,
bro.
they ain't gonna tell you what, bro. Like, he right next to you, but he ain't gonna tell you. He ain't gonna tell you, like.
And shout out to my Brick by Brick family. They're definitely helping me curate and put together a lot of things. That's Ken, Vallejo Ken, Willie Joe, head A&R at Gen Now. My dog Royce, he's a general manager at Gen Now. It's people like that, you know, I tell folks who trying to get into events, like, find those people who you can rely on, ask advice for. Just before this, you know what I'm saying, we were just getting advice on exactly what to do, because if you don't allow yourself to be open to hear those things that you could be better on, you always gonna stay stagnant to where you are. But yeah, it's definitely a headache, but I feel like that's also a thing to rejoice about, because then when you finally do be able to break this, like I said, get a Tony Snow record on the radio, it's like, okay, it can happen.
Yeah.
You feel me? You just gotta be persistent with it.
For sure. And that's the type of people we want to see, like you saying. There's no people on the XXL list from the city.
Which
But
is crazy.
Tony
What you think
shoulda-
about that though?
Bro, Tony definitely deserved a slot on
For
there,
sure.
I feel. You know what
For
I mean?
sure.
Like,
For sure.
it's a lot of,
It's a lot of them.
I don't even,
Like,
we
even the
too
underground
loud.
scene, like Ken Carson.
Ken Carson, Destroy
Lonely.
should have been on there. Like,
It's a,
it
it's
should
a
have. It
lot
was
of folks.
representation from the city that's definitely making noise, but
Yeah.
I feel like because, like you saying, certain avenues or certain lights ain't being shed on certain people that's well deserving, they ain't getting attention that's deserving. You know what I mean?
And like, I'm realizing how money driven everything is.
Exactly. Everything payola. They just calling it marketing.
You feel me?
Right.
And then it's just like, you know, being at the radio, you see labor reps all the time, right? So it's just like, yo,
Yeah.
like, and it's just, I don't know, it's really, I wouldn't say it's a pyramid scheme, but it's definitely like, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
But even if you know, you gotta know.
Oh, you gotta have some money on. Have some motion or some money on. That's the only way you're gonna win.
Is he lying? You telling me he's lying?
Real spill. We gonna cut that part out.
They gonna hate us for that one. They gonna hate us for that one, for
But
real.
no, talk about getting into the hosting crowds and hosting at these clubs and shit. Let me hear about your first time doing it.
Oh, that's a great question. Shout out YDR, they couldn't make it, but those were the people I originally started doing my college parties with. And my dog Dre, he was just like, they been lit. They was like on tour with Key, Long Live Key. They was Key DJ. They DJ for Young Mile and a whole bunch of shit. Like, they was running stuff on the east side. So they took that same formula and did it at Georgia State, and not just at Georgia State, the whole AUC. So when I had first started to do like the college parties, it was with them. So it's actually crazy, but I actually remember my first party, I was just like, my name on the flyer. It was some boo-boo, like flyer, it was blurry. You know the flyers you post on Instagram, you could barely see for real. But I was dumb lit, cause I'm like, boom, this one of the ones, you feel me? And then I was also interning at Streetz Is 45 at the time too, so I was able to go back and be like, yep, guess what I just did? So there was this house party on the east side, right? Stupid ghetto. I don't even remember who was DJing. I think you was there. I think you and Mike was there.
It was like an upstairs.
Yeah, and the downstairs.
Taylor was there.
I don't know. Shout out King Taylor though, but I say all that to say, bro, it was a wired microphone, and like I said before, I wasn't outside for real, but I was picking up on stuff like what Dre would do as a host. Shout out Aaron from DC. It was a lot of other college hosts in the AUC that I would watch and be like, okay, that's fine. So I remember, bro, you cut the music off, and I was like, if you in this motherfucker and you feeling good, say it. And I remember just not thinking about it, just being like, trusting my gut on feeling the vibe of the people. And they was lit. Bro, they started shooting at that motherfucker. I was like, yo, I'm looking, me and Dre be laughing, because I'm like, I'm looking for the twins. I'm like, yo, I roll with them niggas, so hopefully they ain't feel. I was like, yo, where my partner's at? But it was just a good, funny experience, and it was just one of the first events that I had did on my own. I wasn't co-hosted with nobody, and even in the setting it was hot. It was a big ass hot box, you feel me? It was just like, even with all the circumstances and shit going on, there was still people outside after they had stopped spraying outside. I was like, bro, that party was lit. And that'd be the best feeling. Like, the money good, but when somebody can come up, just last night, we was at Sound, a girl came and wrote a note, it was like, what she said? It don't matter what she said. It don't matter what she said, but it was just like having that impression and long-lasting effect on them. It's like, I'm gonna see you again. And that'd be the best feeling for real.
No, that's real.
For sure.
So how does it make you feel to know that what you started then has grown to now what we know is social party?
It's a blessing. And I just feel like I said before, like I was definitely in a space where I didn't know what I was gonna do or like how stuff was gonna happen, but God just introduced me to the right folks, and like I said, me and Bosco, me working with Brick by Brick, me being able to connect with these right people helped lead me into a path or direction where I could have the support to be able to curate an idea and say, hey, let's do that, hey, let's do this, you know? But the newer things that we're working on, shout out our whole Forte digital team, with Traffic on Saturday social, we're really being able to make it more than just a party in the club, right? So we're curating, we're helping artists with their promotions, we're doing the QR code things, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff that we're trying to change the mold of, so like when you come to a party, it don't even feel like it. Before you even come to the party, when you look at our Instagram, like the social party page, it don't even look like we do it at a club. I mean, obviously there's a couple shots up there, but it's like, it's a real curation of artists, art, you know what I'm saying? We invite clothing designers, shout out Dose, they always come in and fuck with us on Saturdays. It's like, we're trying to create like a real scene where even if you don't make music, you could come in here and meet somebody who does, or if you know what I'm saying, you're trying to shoot a music video, you need some new drip, you come see them, you feel me? It's more of a networking experience with the vibes too. You can come in there and have a good time. So that's the biggest thing that I've been able to say is like, it's paying off and we able to make something shake in this thing for real, you feel me?
For sure.
For sure.
Recently just graduated. Congratulations, my brother. But how does it make you feel to know it's time to go ahead and go full throttle with this shit now?
Man, the best thing was seeing my mom so happy, bro. I ain't never seen her that happy. You feel? I'm like, you didn't think I was gonna do it, Shawty? But it wasn't even that. It was more so like being persistent. Cause I ain't gonna cap, bro. It was a couple of days, I'm like, essay? A 3.5? You know, I'm like, no. But it was like, one thing it taught me was the discipline of like, even if you on your own, cause like I said, it was me and my mom. Like, once I first got out of school, out of my mom's house, I'm like, yo, this shit lit. But like one thing school helped was staying disciplined for real, not just with getting your work done, but like, boom, if I gotta be at a radio remote at this time, I'm gonna be here early. If I gotta be at the studio session this time, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be prepared for what's going on. So that was the main thing that I learned from school. Yeah, I learned how to put together pitch decks and stuff like that, and the short amount of astronomy I did learn, but it was more so learning like how to move and how to be able to have that structure where it's like, have the integrity of if nobody watched you, are you still gonna get your work done? And that was the biggest thing that I was able to help be like, okay. And then like, you know, my senior year, bro, was lit. Like, you feel me? I brought Bryson Tiller to the school. They tried to stop me. It was lit. We turned homecoming up. Shout out DJ Drama, my Gen Now family. We turned up Clark, Atlanta. You feel me? So it was just like everything that I had put, and it's crazy, I put all that on my vision board. I wish I had a picture. I wrote all that shit down. I was like, because I remember my junior year, I was seeing other people who was hating on what me and my folks was trying to do, stop us. So I was like, y'all can still do that, but we gonna create a way. Like, we gonna make a way. And that's what I say. They tell me all the time, the twins tell me all the time, write down what you want to do. Because it's one thing to say it, one thing having it in your notes, but if you looking at it every day, it's going to happen. And I can tell you, I wrote down bringing Bryson Tiller to Georgia State, getting school shut down. They shut the whole university down. I wrote down working with DJ Drama and bringing him to a college campus. I wrote down creating a new digital platform. I wrote down hosting birthday bash. There's a lot of stuff I was like, gotta do. I had to clean my whiteboard. Is everything done?
You talking about?
You feel me?
That's real.
So, and I just, like I said, I'm able to do that because of the folks in the team that I got around me. So, for sure.
That's real. So what's some of the new goals you got set for yourself?
Like I said, my end goal is to be a Jimmy Fallon, right? So have my own late night television talk show. That's like mine. But right now, being a person who can help curate not just new music, but events around music. Because like I said, especially being from the city with nobody being on XXL, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, it ain't like, damn, but it's like, there's more work to do. And I feel like folks like myself have to help artists who are making music, who are trying to get out there. There's a lot of people who hard as hell who folks just ain't heard of, but it's because of the people who gatekeep.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, to a certain extent, I was playing, but like, if you hard, if you are creating, and like, you know, shout out Royce, he says this all the time. It's different platforms, like even with Tomorrow, I'm starting to work with the Tomorrow. Shout out Don Cannon, shout out Kayla, shout out Abdul, shout out TC. Being able to connect creatives to a humongous platform, right? The whole idea of Tomorrow, if you don't know, is for artists and creatives to get paid tomorrow, the next day. Because you know, being an entrepreneur, you could be waiting on that invoice for about 3 years,
that
right?
net 30, boy.
Net 30 be net 30 years, you feel me? Not net 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a space for you to be able to help connect, create, and be able to rub elbows with the right people. So I'm one of the new correspondents for them, and being able to help, you know, put artists on a different platform and different pedestal, even being able to connect with the people who are already on it. Like, they have this podcast called Women of Tomorrow. Super dope, right? They're interviewing women who are actually, you know, being those big entrepreneurs that people want to see. So I say all that to say, being able to create and, like I said, have that support system and being able to flourish with that, the best thing ever, bro. For real, for real.
Real spill. So talk about Streetz Is Watching with Shade 45.
Yeah. That all came about, shout out my dog Willie Joe. I was at Hot 107.9 one day, and Gangsta Grills Radio plays on Saturdays on our show, and I was listening to it, and I was like, man, I need some old breaks. We gotta turn this up some more. So me, DJ Iceberg, TC, Willie Joe, we recorded over there at Bean Street. It's been a great platform to be able to show the older heads of hip hop, because we're on Shade 45 on Friday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. and then again on Saturdays at 12 a.m. And so the show consists of me, DJ Drama, Sarah Vivian, and what we do is, you know, we talk about of course, the current topics of what's going on news-wise, but, you know, my biggest segment that I do is new music. Like I told you, like, boom, ain't no artist on XXL. I'm trying to at least put y'all on to what I'm jamming, right? And what I've been able to find out, me and TC, shout out TC, man, boom, with us doing this new music, let's get some of the artists over here that I'm talking about. So, you know, we had cats with like Lil Corey, we had YD, we had, you know, Dion, Tony Snow,
Bear One Ball,
Tia Kareem, Bear One. My dog Warhol was in there one day, but we're taking that time and that space to like showcase them, because you know SiriusXM is a huge platform. We have 4 million plus listeners on our show every Friday. So it's like, boom, like I said, at least I'm gonna do what I can if I think your music hard to try to put it out there so that the masses can see it for real.
Real spill.
But yeah.
So how would you say that relationship has been with the artists now that you gave them a platform to show their talents?
Man, it's way more genuine. Like I was telling Bosco, like, shout out my dog Orby Peasy, bro. Never in my life did I think me and him would share a drink. You
Cool
feel me?
nigga.
But that's my dog, that's family. And Peasy lit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I go
For
to
sure.
Tony's house and we go and talk about Tekken and shit like that. And it's good to know because it helps me understand them and their music more, right? So like when they pull up on me in the club, and I just like, yo, I see you over there in Section 13. Like, I know, bruh. You know what I'm saying? I know what he like to do. I know what she likes to create. You feel me? And that's why I said it's a lot of. I gotta talk about these female rappers, right? The Caribous, the Arnisia. It's this Woo the Savage. Like, it's a lot of women, especially in this like Atlanta scene, that's definitely doing their thing. It's like they always pull up on us at traffic on Saturdays. You feel me? It's like being able to have that real relationship. It's like we could kick it outside this motherfucker. It's always great because then it helps me be able to understand how to help you put your music out better. You feel me? Whether you should be on Sirius, you should be on Hot, you should be on iHeart or whatever it is. You feel me? So yeah.
No, that's real.
For sure.
So besides media, what else are you working on? What's some other business revenues you want to dive into?
So right now, I'm in a space where I'm connecting my hosting things to like individual niche concepts and things of that nature. So I'm really into clothes, bruh. My girl say I spend too much money on it, but I feel like you could never spend too much money on clothes. It's like doing what we do, you gotta have 10 outfits a day.
Yeah.
I do laundry every day because it's like, okay, boom, Obama might be at the studio and Shaka Khan at traffic. So that's two different pictures, you feel me? So one thing that I'm doing, shout out to brands that's really killing the game. Dose, Steez, the Glock We Trust, bruh, it's crazy. It's a lot of folks who like going stupid. So one thing that I was doing on the college end is like creating pop-up shops. So I was doing it around the time where college students get their refund check to, try to help the college entrepreneurs get some extra money. Cause I'm all about putting money in people's pockets, bro. So when I was doing that, bro, I was having like 1,500, 2,000 people. And I was just doing this at Georgia State. So what I'm planning on doing for this upcoming fall is doing like a big college one. So all my folks who create, whether it's lashes, nails, and that was another thing that I saw that was like very lucrative too for just college students. Cause bro, as much as dudes make clothes, there's a lot of girls out here that sell hair or sell lashes or whatever it may be, perfume. So creating that space for just young people to come together, help network too. That's another thing that I saw that worked out well with Georgia State, but helping curate events for people who are creatives, right? I just started this new thing with Hawks Talent GC where I'm helping curate and host the live streams for the NBA 2K League. And so it's a lot of new things we're gonna create, like doing an HBCU tournament where, a celebrity will play a college student. So like just curating events in spaces where, it's more than just music, right? It's gaming, it's clothing, it's, Yachty said this other day, I watched his podcast, I feel like people throw the word culture around very loosely, but stuff for the culture for real, for real.
No, that's some real shit.
Yeah.
Any last words and shout outs?
Man, I'm like Kanye, I got a shout out track. Shout out my mama, Dr. Gaither. She teach at Tri-Cities now, so if you go to Tri-Cities, you better be nice to my mama, nigga. Shout out my Hot 1079 family. Shout out my Gen Now family. Shout out Brick by Brick. Shout out Tamara app. Like I said, if you're a creative and you don't know about that app, you're tricky. Shout out Georgia State. Shout out these two gentlemen behind me. And shout out to everybody who's out there that's just trying to create something. Like I said, if you don't know what you want to do, it's cool. Pray on it and then create that plan and put it in front of you. If you put it in front of you, you ain't got no choice but to see it. So, yeah. Shout out to y'all, man. I don't know if nobody gave y'all flowers, but we talked about doing this. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm pulling up. Because you're really putting people on, bro. Y'all really are creating a space where people can come up here and tell their story. There's a lot of interview platforms that I was like, what's your favorite color? I don't care about that, you feel me? You allow people to be able to tell and talk about where they from and shout out their other folks, which is like dope.
Real spill. Appreciate the love, man. You already know what's the same on our end.
For sure.
Manny Supreme, we appreciate having you on the porch with us today, gang.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and shout out my SSG family, man. My dog Corey. You know what I'm saying? The whole game, man. Bah!
For sure.
Smoking strong, she gon' fuck me off the strength. I put